Thank you for tuning in. I'm Ann McClure. I'm a residential realtor with McInerney Associates Realtors, and I work by referral in Northern Virginia, Montgomery County, Maryland, and I've got partners who help me in DC. And this is Ask the Expert, and we started doing this during the pandemic to get good information out to our clients. Everybody was housebound during the shutdown, and we still wanted to support local businesses, and people were spending time at home and they were thinking more about their homes and how they could improve them or live in them better. And that became fodder for discussion between myself and Jennifer, my colleague, about how could we support local businesses and help our clients at the same time. And we used to do an event live and in person, sometimes a couple times a year, called Ask the Expert. And we would invite like anywhere from like 5 to 7 or 8 experts, and they would come and we do sort of a happy hour format, and they'd have like, you know, their name, and it would say roofer or disaster relief or whatever the industry was that they were in. And then that way the people roving around knew who the experts were, and they would just come have some cocktails with us and ask their questions. Well, I said, you know, I still want to do that, but how can we do it? And Jennifer came up with the idea to do one expert every so often online. And so that's how this was born. And so we thank you for joining us. We love getting suggestions about experts you want to hear from. And this week, I'm really proud to introduce my friend, Phil Dhargyal from PuroClean. And you're going to hear some very good information from him later. Phil is originally from Tibet, and he then lived for 6 years in India as a refugee before coming to Virginia for high school and college. And he worked in the property restoration industry and met his partner, and well, then it was his friend, now his friend and partner, Tenzin Jigme. And Tenzin also coincidentally is from Tibet. And so they decided to open their own branches of PuroClean, and through a lot of hard work. And I can tell you, Phil and Tenzin work tirelessly, 7 days a week. I mean, you guys might as well be realtors. But yeah, they through a lot of hard work, they were named by PuroClean as the Rookie of the Year for PuroClean throughout. Is it throughout the country, Phil?
Yes.
Yeah.
For
so
the country and Canada as well.
And Canada. I mean, that's huge. Kudos and congratulations to you and Tenzin. Today, we're going to talk to Phil about home disasters, how to prevent them if you can, how to live through them, and how to clean up after them, because even the best laid plans sometimes have problems. And, you know, our whole goal is to help you live in your home better and get you really good information. So we will chat with Phil in a couple minutes here. I want to remind you that this will be made available later on Facebook, on YouTube, and on our website. We also will make it available to Phil so he can distribute it as he likes. If ever you need a copy, a link, whatever, get in touch with us. We're always happy to share good information. We believe in local business and small business and working by referral, and we want to spread the word. So thank you for tuning in and not keeping us a secret and sharing today's Ask the Expert. We hope you get a lot out of it. I want to start with a very brief update on the market. I don't even know if I should call it an update, because this week I want to go anecdotal. Sometimes I share hardcore stats with you, like the number of days the average property spending on the market throughout our region, which right now is 26, and that's even quicker than it was this time last year. But I want to tell you something I'm seeing, and I'm seeing that if you are thinking or know someone thinking about selling, you know, a snowbird, you know, a retiree, you know, an empty nester. And this is for anybody, anywhere in the country. In fact, I just talked to somebody who's got a loved one in Laredo, Texas. We're going to help them find a realtor there. This is a fantastic time for almost everyone to sell. And it is a very hard time for buyers. So if you have been thinking about selling, consult a realtor in your area, somebody you know, somebody you like and trust, or get a referral for one. And if you're thinking of buying, put on your armor, because it is a tough market. We had clients write an offer this week on a property, $499,000. They were willing to go up almost to $540,000, and they waived home inspection. This particular listing agent said she got 10 offers and the top offer broke 600,000. So that's not uncommon actually. Right now we are seeing some crazy stuff in the marketplace. Interest rates remain very good and very favorable, but the lack of inventory is why I'm telling you, if you're a seller or you know someone who's been thinking about it, now is the time. Find someone to consult with, get your house on the market, get top dollar, and give some buyers out there some relief. So that's my PSA and my market update. So without further ado, I want to thank our friend Phil again. Phil, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
I like your map of the world behind you. I know you're opening other locations. Is this your plan for PuroClean domination across the country?
Definitely, one day.
I love it. Phil, I'm just going to launch right into the questions. You know, I think for many of us, disaster and relief and restoration is really heavy on our minds after what we saw Texas go through in the last few days. And I shouldn't say go through. I mean, it's much better there, but it's been a disaster. That's the only word for it. And it's been so hard on thousands and thousands of families. And I mean, there have been losses of property and losses of life, and it just weighs heavy on your mind. And I think that it's great that we're talking with you today because, you know, we've seen images of icicles hanging off of ceiling fans. We've seen, you know, incredible flooding in homes, people living in shelters and furniture stores. And it's just, it's kind of unbelievable, actually. After someone lives through a disaster like this and they have to clean it up, they're probably going to call someone like you, right?
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate that what's happening in Texas, you know. So yes, PuroClean, we are known as the paramedic for property damages. Just like, you know, you dial 911 for property damage, you were the one who shows up first. So we take care of most of the damage to your properties, but we are mostly specialized for like water damage. You know, it could be caused by tree falls on the house, heavy rainfall, you know, leak inside the home, and also overflow, like a washing machine overflow, pipe burst, and also we take care of fire damages, mold damages, and we also do like order smoker cleanup and help people to, you know, hoarder type situation people, help them to clean up the hoarding situations. So those are like the 4 type of services that we are most specialized. But like I said, the paramedic of property damages. So if you have a property damage related to any of these services, we will be the one who will show up.
I like the slide here. It's like calling 911 for your home or business. So it's good to know someone like you in times of trouble. And I'm so glad you said the thing about washing machines, because I guess it can be as extreme as something like Texas, but it can also be you overflowed the washing machine, you damaged your whole basement, right? Or maybe the washing machine's higher up and it flowed down and you've got a lot of cleanup to do. And then smoke, you know, you mentioned smoke, and I was thinking, you know, we could have fire damage, whether it's to someone's particular house or maybe it's a townhouse or it was next door, but also smokers, right? Or like a property where people have been smoking in and you're trying to get the smoke out.
Yes, so we do get call from like actually realtors like yourself. You know, they say, hey, I have a house for listing, but the previous owner has been smoking in the house for many years. So before they want to, you know, sell the house, they want somebody like us, you know, to see if we can come and clean the smoke, the odors, get rid of odors. So, you know, getting rid of, I really wish there is like magic ways to, you know, to clean the smoke and get rid of the odors, but it's extremely difficult to, you know, get rid of it, but it can be done. You know, we have done it many times. There we have like different solutions to, you know, to clean the area where the smoke damage is. And we have machines like hydrosol machines and ozone machines. Those are the machines that we can use because smoke damage, sometimes you can see the smoke suits, you know, and we can clean them, but in some areas we cannot see it. So that's when we use the high like commercial machines like the hydrosol and ozone machines. Those are the one we use to get rid of the smell, the particle of the smell, the odors.
I know you've told me in the past, like ozone machines are effective, but not always safe if someone's living in the home at the time. And that's where the hydrosol machines come in, right?
Correct. Yes. So ozone machine and hydrogen machine, works similar, but ozone generates, it produces a gas called ozone to deodorize the airborne particles in your house. So ozone is the main elements in the ozone layer. It's composed of three oxygen molecules. So it's not safe for pets and humans when ozone machines are running because it breaks apart the oxygen molecules. But the hydrosol generator, it's like the sun, it uses a UV radiation, so
Okay.
to naturally clean and deodorize the indoor environment. So hydrosol machine, when it's running, people can still work. If you have pets, you can still let them in. So
Everybody's safe.
yes, it's safer than ozone machines. Yep.
Well, I'm glad to know that there are a couple of good options and that, you can effectively get cigarette smoke out. I've had listings over the years where, that's been the primary complaint. And I tell my sellers, I don't want to offend you, but we've got to find a way to get the odor out of here. And really, honestly, I don't think it's very effectively done unless you hire a professional like you. So
Definitely. Yeah, there's some areas, if it's small enough, you can do it with the household cleaning. But certain things, you don't want to do it because you're going to do further damages.
yeah.
Mhm.
Phil, what can people do to protect themselves from water damage in their home? Particularly, I'm thinking, there's water damage, whether it's, flooding, mass flooding, or something caused internally, a burst hot water heater, washing machine. And then there are issues too when you're in an attached property, townhouse or condo. So could you speak a little bit to what people could do to protect themselves from those issues?
Sure, yeah. So the regular homeowners, insurance company, they covers most of the water damage from like a certain accident, but such as like the pipe burst or washing machine overflow. But most of the time, they do not cover like a flood damage or water damage due to poor maintenance. So maintenance is the key here. You should regularly check washing machine hoses. You should check toilets for leaks. Clean the gutters and downspout and also maintain your water heater. So keep your house, maintain your house so that you can prevent water damage that happens to your house. And also, like you mentioned, townhomes got flood damage. Your neighbor has a flood damage, and you are the neighbor and got affected from their house. So this actually happens all the time. Um, your neighbor has a pipe burst and all the water is coming through the wall cavity and it's leaking in your bedroom. So matter of fact, this morning I actually went to inspection in Washington, D.C. and they had condo units. It's a huge, like maybe 15 floor, and on the ninth floor, the contractor was doing a reconstruction or something, but he hit the pipe and it burst. So it affected the whole ninth floor, and there was like about 25 units affected. So because of this. So yeah, when this happens, you need to find out what the water is, where is the leak coming from. That's the key. You need to stop that to prevent more damages. If you
Right.
if you can shut off the main water, if you can locate your main water shut off, that would be great. Turn off the main water. If you
Okay.
cannot locate it, yes, go ahead.
No, everybody listening, this sounds basic, but it's really important. Know where your shutoff is.
Yes.
And I have occasionally seen a house where the shutoff could not be located, which
Yes.
is a whole different problem because then how are you going to shut it off?
Right.
But
So
this is key. Know where your shutoff is. Okay, sorry, Phil. I just wanted to.
no problem. No, but yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So when we had a water damage, customer calls us, and sometimes they do ask where is the main water shut off. even though it's their own house, but they don't know where the location is.
Yeah.
So in this case, we can tell them, go down to the basement, or maybe we can do a FaceTime with them and try to show them where the main water shut off is. And if we cannot help them, then we will recommend plumbers to come and either stop the leaks or fix the problem. And then after that, then you should call your insurance, because even though it's not your fault, your neighbor has a water damage and it's coming to your house because you guys are sharing the wall, but still, you need to claim because you probably have contents damage. Your belongings got damaged because of the water coming through the walls. So you
Yeah.
still need to call your insurance and claim about it.
So we have everything from like awareness of where your shutoff is, and maybe people label those with a tag. So if they're not the one home and their teenage kid is home and something happens, the kid can identify it.
Right,
Also,
definitely.
like you said, we've got to maintain things like gutters, downspouts. We're going to get into sump pump in a little bit. And even like the braided steel hoses, right? Those are good to have on your washing machine, for instance.
Definitely. Yes.
Keep an eye on your hot water heater to make sure it's not seeping, because usually a bigger leak is right behind that. So
Yes.
you mentioned mold, that it, like, especially it's sitting between the walls, that this moisture can lead to mold. Can you share how you can clean it up yourself, or you should consider cleaning it up yourself, versus when you should definitely have a professional come in and do it for you?
Right. So yeah, mold is a serious issue for industries like us. So mold happens because of a water damage. If you don't take care of the water damage properly, then you will have problem later on, like mold damages. So the first steps in cleaning up a mold is to find and eliminate the water source. So finding the water source, make sure, same thing with the water damage. If you know water is leaking, make sure you shut the main water off. So same thing with the mold. You need to find where the water leakage is coming from. Then if the area is small enough, for us, we follow the ISCRC certification. So that's the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning and Restoration certification. So we follow their protocol, their guidelines, which is like maybe less than 10 square feet or more, that if your actual naked eye can see, and if you still feel comfortable doing it, then you can clean the mold with the household solutions, detergents, stuff like that. But make sure you thoroughly dry all the materials after you did the cleaning yourself. But if it's more than 10 square feet, and then that's the when you need to call in a professional like a PuroClean.
Okay. And I heard you say, like, you can use a household detergent. So I believe you've told me in the past that something even as seemingly mild as like Dawn dish detergent is very effective, right?
Yes, definitely they're effective. But some customer often confused with the bleach. They use bleach. They say bleach kill mold. It does kill mold, but it only kills live mold. It does not take care of the mold spores. So mold spore is the key. So if you have one room is affected because of a mold, that mold spores can linger in the air. It's airborne, so it lingers in there and it's gonna cross-contaminate the other area. So bleach only kills live mold. It does not kill the mold spores. So,
but the detergent actually will.
A detergent is similar to the bleach, but still, if it's less than that, if you feel comfortable, yes, you can get rid of it. So mold requires three things. It needs the water, it needs food source, which is the organic material that we use in the house, like structured drywall insulation, stuff like that. And then you also need a temperature, like a comfortable temperature for them to grow. So if you have all those three, the mold will continue. So that's why I suggested if you clean the mold yourself, make sure everything is dry after you did it, so that the mold, it's not gonna regrow again.
So almost as important as cleaning it with your Dawn detergent. And I guess what you were saying, if I understand correctly, is you could use Dawn detergent, you could use bleach, but they have the same effect, except that the Dawn detergent is less harsh for you to use.
Right.
You use that, but then thoroughly dry everything. So put your fans on, make sure your HVAC system is on all the time, not on auto.
Right.
maybe a humidifier in the space.
Definitely. Yep.
Okay, that was really helpful. You know, I was going to ask you, Phil, where, and you mentioned the organic material, like where you're likely to find the mold in your home.
Mhm.
I know on home inspections, you know, we've seen it. You mentioned drywall. What about like wood studs or HVAC equipment, or even furniture or certain types of flooring? Like, where do you usually see it?
Yeah, so mold usually it's in the mold cavity. Like I said, if there's a water damage, the most likely there's going to be mold if you don't take care of the water damage properly. So like the studs wall, the wall cavity, drywall behind the framing, and also on the contents. If you have like a high humidity in the house because of the water damage, your contents could be damaged because of mold problems. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And oh, go ahead.
yeah, there's a way to test it. We follow the IRCRC guidelines. So, if it's more than 10 square feet, that's when we hire like indoor like air quality professionals. Like we call them an industrial hygienist. So they're the professional who does the testing of the mold. They will test for air quality sample in the house, and also do a swab sample of the area with the mold on it, and they are the one who writes the reports and guideline and how to do the cleanup. So after we do the mold remediation cleanup, they will come back and do a clearance test. So they have to make sure everything is fine. We got every single mold, we remediate all the molds, and people can come back and live for safe for them to live. Yeah.
Glad you mentioned the industrial hygienist. That's the proper term. I always think mold tester, but you know, if somebody's curious and they think they have too much mold, too much mold in their house, we're talking about that too, but like too much moisture,
Mhm.
they could get a moisture meter to check themselves, right? And just maybe that, adjust with, well, I'll let you answer. How they could test themselves, and things they could do in their house to bring down the moisture level.
Yeah, so we have moisture meters to test for walls. If there is a watering tissue, we will check for water damage behind the walls. We use the moisture meter. But
Mhm.
for the humidity levels, we have hygrometers. We can use that to check how high the moisture level of the house is. So
Yeah.
based on that, but if you have a water damage, most likely you want to call somebody, like a professional to take care of that. So, because they're the one who has the right equipments, right, moisture meters to check for everything.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good to know. It's funny because sometimes when I'm showing property, I have people go, "Oh my gosh, they have a dehumidifier running in the basement. That's a telltale sign of a problem." And I say, not necessarily. It might be a telltale sign of a conscientious property owner who's just controlling moisture levels, because A, we live in a humid area much
Right.
of the year, and B, many of our houses, we're very vertical here. We're not horizontal like
Yeah.
Florida or California, where things are above grade. And so subterranean, moisture comes through the walls. That's just a fact. And so
Yes.
I think it's good to control that and be aware of it, be cognizant of it.
Yeah. Yeah. You brought up a very good point. Dehumidifier, it helps to maintain your moisture and keep your the basement's dry. So moisture is there because most of the basement has a sub pump. Sub pump. It's a sub pump is there to prevent groundwater away from your home.
Yep.
Evacuate large amount of water, such as flooding from like a heavy rainfall. So regular maintenance is required to keep the sub pump in a good shape.
Yeah, I'll take a brief departure here. I sell throughout the metro region, and if you're watching from other parts of the country, there are areas like here, I'll say Tacoma Park, Maryland, or
Mhm.
off of Arlington Ridge Road in South Arlington. It is very common to have underground streams under houses.
Yes.
And a lot of these houses were built and never intended to have a basement finished, but it's been finished over time. So
Mhm.
having a sump pump or multiple, I was in a house once in Tacoma Park that had 6.
Mhm.
Like Phil is talking about, that can be a very good step for you. And Phil, actually, while we're talking about sump pumps, you had some really good tips, because a sump pump is only good if it's operating, right?
Yes,
You need it
yes,
to operate.
definitely.
You really need it. So can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about sump pump maintenance?
Sure, yeah. I just want to share like a few of the common mistakes in sump pump maintenance. The first thing is, doing it yourself installations. If you have never installed a sump pump, so why risk doing it yourself? Improper installation can end up leading a costly damage to your basements, water backing up into the building. So just don't do it yourself. Hire a plumbing professional to avoid the risk of improper installations. And the second is like no backup power source. During powerful storm, the home can lose powers. So to prevent water from backing up and flooding your basement because of no power to the sub pump, make sure you have a sub pump. Your sub pump has a backup powers like a generators or batteries. And the third one is no testing, not testing your sump pump regularly. So sub pump needs to be tested maybe like twice a year before the spring or and falls, to make sure that it's in good working condition. And it's actually very easy to test it. To test the system, slowly pour water into the sub pump pit, and until it activates the pump switch. If it's empty slower than normal, then check the discharge pipe or the pump itself to see if it's clogged or any other issues. And then the fourth one is debris getting into your pump. Make sure your sub pump does not sit on debris such as like sleds or gravels, which could be sucked up into your pump and damage the sub pump motor. And the fifth one is like unplugging the pump. This can cause flooding if someone unplugged the sub pump and forget to plug it back. So this is easy to prevent this. Don't unplug the sub pump. If you did, just make sure to plug it back. And the last tip that I have here is covering the sub pumps. A lot of people have so many stuff in the house. So you need to make sure you know where your sub pump is located. Do not pile contents and boxes on top of the sub pump. This is very important because you need to keep the sub pump area free and clear of any objects and materials so the sub pump can function properly and have easy access to services and maintenances when you needed it to. Yeah.
And
So
make
those are
sure
the
you don't pile so much stuff around it that you can get to it in an emergency, right? If you needed to.
yeah.
A good trick for checking the evacuation point for those of you watching is if you're testing the pump from the inside, send a family member or friend outside to wherever you think the evacuation point is. And you can be on your cell phones,
Right.
and you test the pump, you're putting water in, and they see if it's coming out. I mean, that's a good way. And sometimes people don't even know where it evacuates. That's another thing, while you're walking around your house, checking your gutters and your downspouts and your splash blocks and your grading, it's good to know where that evacuation point is. Because like
Right.
Phil says, I mean, it can get clogged for a number of reasons at different points too, right, Phil? Like closer to the pump or further out by the evacuation pipe.
Yes. Yes.
Those are really, really good tips. And I appreciate you sharing them because I think people forget that they need to check these systems. So Phil, we've talked a lot about water, and you mentioned that you also can help with biohazard situations. I mean, sometimes we have situations where well-meaning clients, maybe animal care gets away from them and there are pungent odors in the house. Maybe cats not using the litter box, or I was making an example like, yeah, I like fried fish, but it's not a smell you want in your house when you're trying to sell, for sure. So you have methods for dealing with some of that. I think we touched on it earlier. Some of that is the ozone and the hydrosol machine, right? But you can help people with these things in addition to the smoking, like we talked about, right?
Definitely, yes. Like I said, the realtors, they come to us for listing. So they said, I don't want you to clean anything. If you can come and place a ozone or a hydrosol machine 1 or 2 days, that will get rid of the smells. So
wow, so that quick?
Yes.
And what carpet or wallpaper or draperies?
So those, cleaning versus replacing, if it's cost efficient, normally it's really hard to restore textiles, so that's why we will try communicate with the customer and to see if it's costly to replace them in order versus cleaning them. So
Okay.
but carpets, like, we can clean the carpet, steam clean it, and if it's like the carpet is not that old, we can still, clean it and get rid of smells. Yep.
And you've also helped hoarders, which that can be another touchy subject, whether it's the person themselves who's the hoarder or family members. I've had a couple of listings and they were, I'm sorry about the dog.
No problem.
I meant to put him in his kennel because the mail only comes when I'm doing this. um, so yeah, thinking about hoarders, I mean, that's a difficult situation. It's emotionally difficult, and I'm sure there are many layers of steps you all have to take, because I'm sure sometimes it's obviously it's clutter, but you can get into biohazard and other issues, right? That they don't even realize is happening because their house condition.
Yeah, so hoarder and hoarding cleanup is one of the service that we provide. So the hoarders normally, they have psychologically little problems. They don't know like how much stuff they have, and so dealing with them is extremely difficult. Because we need to let them know that the stuff they have in the house needs to be thrown away. But they think everything's a sentimental value to them. They want to keep everything. So this is a very extremely difficult, like emotionally job.
Yeah, because you're seeing people, whether it's hoarding or fire damage or flooding. I mean, you're seeing people in a very vulnerable state. I'm sure they're emotionally charged, and maybe they're not even making decisions
Mm-hmm.
the way they normally would. And
Mm-hmm.
there's this huge emotional component to this. And I didn't say this in the beginning when I did the intro, and I meant to, Phil, but in addition to you being a really smart, resourceful person, which I really believe, you're so kind and compassionate. Like, you have such a good spirit about you that I imagine if someone's in an emergency, you're exactly the type of person they would want helping them. And I remember a story about a woman you were helping who was in a really bad state, and then she got sick on top of it, and you delivered chicken noodle soup to her. I mean, I don't know many contractors who would do that, and I just want to say thanks for being one of those who would, because it makes all the difference. But your teams are equipped, I guess is where I'm going,
Mm-hmm.
with steps where they can help people through these times and difficult decisions.
Yes. Yeah, like the old lady that I helped with, she had a total fire loss. Her house was totaled, so she was emotionally like a very devastated. Needs help. So the first thing I would like to do for customers like that, I will try to calm them down. Because I know what they are going through, and we do this all the time. So the second, I will say the customer service, like a relentless customer service. We want to make sure that they are in a good hands. So whatever happens, we will try to give them a smooth transition. Like the process is going to go smoothly between the homeowner to the insurance company and also the contractor who comes later after we finish the cleaning. They can come and do the rebuilds. So I'm going to be the person who's communicating throughout the process. So I want to make sure them that they are in good hands, and I'm always try to give them a peace of mind, just and try to calm them down, and also introduce my crew to them and to make sure that we know what we're doing. So customer service is a key for us.
I don't know that I've ever heard that phrase before, relentless customer service. That is genius, and it really paints a picture. That should be on your trucks, Phil. And I know it to be true about you. You're really, yeah. I don't want to be remiss in mentioning insurance. I just want to touch on it quickly because I know we're going just a little bit over here, but there is an insurance component to all of this. You work well with the insurance companies. I'd advise people watching to be aware of issues at your house and what your policy covers, to know, let your insurance company know if you got a battery backup on your sump pump. And
Definitely.
if you'd speak just a moment to working with the insurance companies, I think that would be great.
Sure, yeah. So we deal with most of the large insurance company, and we have like a set up a program with them. We get directly uh, jobs from the insurance companies to call us for water damage, for fire loss. And also we have a customer who are new, like a homeowner, and they don't know what insurance is going to cover. So they will Google for water damage and find us on the Google website, and call us for help. And then I'll try to guide them through like what insurance, like I mentioned before, if it's a regular like insurance policy, it will cover for accidents like fire loss or water damage from pipe burst. Those will be covered. But sometimes the sub pump fail, or the water coming from outside the house, those are not covered. But sometimes if they have coverage for sub pump, there's a limits, usually around $5,000. So the $5,000 limits covers for our service fees, and also to put back whatever is being damaged, like the drywall installations, the flooring, so all that. So I will try my best, the knowledge that I have. So I will try to explain them, like if this is something the insurance is gonna cover. If not, then I will explain. I will try to, work with the customer and to see if I can give them a good discount, because
Yeah,
I
that's
know what
great.
they're going through, especially
That's,
right now because of the pandemic.
yeah, hard times across the country.
Yes.
Phil, I want to wrap up by asking you, because I always like to ask this question while we show your contact info. What's one of the strangest or most interesting things you've come across in your job?
Yeah, so that will be the missing dead dog. Yeah, so we had a customer, actually it was my partner Tenzin. He got a call from a customer because of a water damage, a pipe burst. So we went in there and tried to find where the water is coming from. And the house is built before 1972, I think. So every time if the house is built before 1978 or 1977, we have to make sure there is no asbestos or any like lead paintings. So we need to make sure we test for those. If we need to remove the drywall, we have to make sure the lead paint is tested and make sure it's negative. Otherwise, we have to go different procedure to do the lead abatement and asbestos abatement. So for this poor lady, we went in and we found out there's a pipe burst behind the wall, like a drywall. But she's like a hoarder type situation. She has so much stuff like stacked up. We can barely see the drywall behind it. And so eventually, we have to get rid of all the stuff, and because we have to get through the drywall in order to stop the leak and fix it. So, and when we are going through the boxes, the pile of contents, and then one of my crew, because right now, we have to wear proper PPE. So
Sure.
slightly he's wearing, the mask, the full body suits, and gloves. So he's found out there's like a dog bone, like a head, so like just sitting there. It was
Oh
been dead for I don't know how long, many years.
oh my God.
And then later on, we found out that was the owner's missing dog. She thought the dog was missing. So the poor dog was being trapped under the boxes for many years and passed away. Yeah, that's like the strangers, but we come across like this all the time in the dead animals in the attic, snakes in the crawl space, stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen the dead animals and spaces, and yeah, and I've seen
Mhm.
live snakes, and yeah, it's interesting what you come across. So bats,
Yes.
I had one house that had a ton of bats in the attic. Um,
Yep.
Phil, thank you. This has been so good. And you shared a lot of really good, valuable information, a lot of, an ounce of prevention. I encourage people watching, if you have questions, call Phil. and walk around your house and take stock of things and check in with your insurance provider. And, you know, if you have questions, I've got a great person I consult with at Liberty Mutual. But, you know, really kind of know your systems and know your house and be prepared, because nobody knows when something like what happened in Texas is going to hit. And just like we didn't know when a pandemic was going to hit, and these things happen, and you just, yes, it costs some money up front, and I avoid it too. And I'm preaching here, I hope preaching to the choir, but it's like, I want us to all be prepared so that worst case isn't as bad as it could have been.
Yes, yes.
I think the ounce of prevention, spending the money up front, sometimes you're like, oh, is this necessary? But it's always so much cheaper than the shoulda, coulda, woulda money.
Yes,
So
agree.
Phil, I just want to say again, thank you for joining us. You
Sure.
are a true professional. I'm so proud of your success in the industry. I'm grateful for the way you've helped my clients in the past. And while I don't want to have any more to refer to you, because
No
if I
problem.
refer to you, it usually means something bad has happened. But
Yes.
I would very confidently refer to you. And I think you guys run a great business, and you're such a good, kind person. So I would encourage people watching, if you have questions, please reach out to Phil. This will be available, again, I said, on our website or YouTube or Facebook. We're going to make sure Phil has a copy, and we can always put you in touch with him after the fact. Jennifer had flashed up his contact info, but if you missed it or need it again, we're happy to get it to you. I want to thank you for joining us for Ask the Expert. I want to thank my guest, Phil, for coming again. And I guess it's wrong to wish you many disasters, Phil, much success in your business. But and I'm saying that just sort of kidding, but I do wish you much success. And join us again in 2 weeks for our next episode of Ask the Expert, where we're going to feature another local business provider who has great information to share with you. Thanks so much for joining us, and please share the information.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer. Sorry. Thank you, Jennifer.